Hello, NBA fans. Daily news about the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm a fan of the Lakers show and I hope you'll subscribe to the channel and give it a like. The Lakers need a big man who brings physical strength, youth, and defense, and one such player is Jabari Smith Jr. of the Houston Rockets. Even though Austin Reaves is the Lakers' third star, he's a free agent. It's best for the Lakers to seize the opportunity and trade him for other good players and valuable assets. Lakers could add Tari Eason or Jabari Smith Jr. in theoretical Reaves trade. Smith, 22, would likely be the big swing target the Lakers prioritize, however, as a former top 3 pick who has displayed signs of significant potential. He's less consistent and in some regards efficient than Eason, but is a 6 feet 10 inches hybrid forward who can guard and offensively excel at either the 3 or the 4. In 2024-25, Smith averaged 12.2 points, 7.0 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 0.7 blocks, and 1.7 three-point field goals made on .438/.354/.825 shooting. Asking for Smith would likely prohibit the Lakers from taking back much else in a potential Reaves trade. Perhaps they could shed Jared Vanderbilt's salary, however, as a means to taking back Smith's $23,643,411. The inverse reality is that Eason is due to make $5,675,766 to Reaves' $13,937,574, thus requiring Houston to ship out at least one additional contract. The brutal nature of Houston's situation, however, is that they'd likely be negotiating from a place of borderline desperation to fill a crucial void. In that scenario, Los Angeles could realistically bring back Eason and draft compensation for Reaves if it opts against going all-in on Smith. Perhaps they could even push for Reed Shepherd, although it's unclear how Houston values the promising guard. Regardless of what the Lakers would get in this hypothetical trade, it's easy to envision a scenario in which Houston emerges as a high-profile suitor for Reaves in 2025-26. In the aftermath of Fred VanVleet suffering a torn ACL, the Houston Rockets have become a logical suitor for Los Angeles Lakers guard Austin Reaves. Los Angeles has thus far been unwilling to trade Reaves, but if their stance changes, Houston will likely emerge as an interested party. It's more conjecture than fact-based analysis at this stage, but the Lakers and Rockets are in a unique position to help one another if the day comes that they choose to negotiate a trade. VanVleet could miss the entire 2025-26 season, thus leaving Houston without its starting point guard and primary playmaker. VanVleet's value is multifaceted, but the void in the playmaking department has become impossible to overlook. That alone makes Reaves a compelling potential trade target for the Rockets, which are ideally equipped to incorporate his strengths and weaknesses as a player. Houston ranked number 5 in the NBA in defensive rating in 2024-25 and has now added 4-time scoring champion Kevin Durant to elevate an offense that finished number 12 in points per 100 possessions. With Reaves, they'd be able to roll out lineups in which no player is shorter than 6 feet 5 inches and virtually everyone on the court can create to some degree. As for Los Angeles, trading with the Rockets may be the best possible option as far bringing back the type of value they'd need to justify a Reaves trade. Rockets losing VanVleet makes them perfect team to trade for Reaves. Houston is unparalleled in the depth it's created as far as defensive-minded wings and forwards are concerned. That should be music to Los Angeles's ears if it opts to negotiate a potential trade with their fellow contenders in 2025-26. The likes of Durant, Tari Eason, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jabari Smith Jr., and Amen Thompson all project to be competing for minutes at the same few positions. Durant and Thompson will be off limits, and a 32-year-old Finney-Smith is unlikely to be viewed as the ideal replacement for Reaves. Reaves is still just 27 years of age and has shown steady signs of progress as a scorer and playmaker through 4 seasons. As such, the Lakers' pursuit of a trade with the Rockets would likely center around either Eason or Smith, two-way players who would instantly improve Los Angeles' defense. Eason, 24, is coming off of a season in which he averaged 12.0 points, 6.4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1.7 steals, 0.9 blocks, and 1.1 three-point field goals made on .487/.342/.760 shooting. A versatile defender capable of picking players up at almost every position, he's the type of stalwart the Lakers have been searching for. Concerns exist about his injury history, as he missed 60 games in 2023-24 and 25 in 2024-25, but his upside is unavoidable and the immediate value he'd provide could prove transformative. Could Rui Hachimura be a sixth Man of the Year candidate this season? Welcome to our Lakers season preview series. For the next several weeks, we'll be writing columns every weekday, breaking down the biggest questions we have about every player the Lakers added this offseason. Today, we look at Rui Hachimura. There have been many stages of Rui Hachimura's time in Los Angeles. First, he was part of the new arrivals that boosted the team to the playoffs in his first season. Then, he became a key piece of the starting lineup that helped them become an offensive juggernaut. However, after being a relative constant over the last few seasons, Rui has faded into the background of conversations. He now enters the final year of his contract with some uncertainty about his future and his role with the team. Is he best suited as a sixth man? Can he defend at a high enough level to remain a starter? Is he a good enough fit with Luka to remain with the Lakers after this season? For someone who has proven quite a bit with the Lakers, there remains many questions this season will go some way in answering. What is his best-case scenario? While there is typically a fairly straightforward approach to this question for players, this one isn't so simple for Rui, mainly because there are two routes for him to go this year. Is his best-case scenario in the starting lineup where he remains a knockdown shooter that can space the floor while continuing to show improvement defensively? Last season during the playoffs, Rui was used in a number of ways on the defensive end, including on Anthony Edwards, and showed versatility. Was that a look at how he could be used this year? Or is the best-case scenario him embracing a role off the bench? A move out of the starting lineup could facilitate a better defensive fit in the starting lineup, likely smart, and also provide a scoring punch off the bench. In a best-case scenario, he is one of the front-runners for sixth man of the year and still closes games on the nights when the matchups are favorable or he's really cooking. Personally, I lean toward the latter being the more likely of those best-case scenarios, but both could be possibilities. What is his worst-case scenario? Since coming to LA, Rui has been a very solid role player. He's someone who, when given an instruction or directive, will apply it to his game. When he first arrived, he was instructed to focus on three-point shooting and he responded with the two best seasons of his career shooting from range. Last year, there was a greater emphasis on corner crashing offensively, so he grabbed the most rebounds per game since his sophomore season. All that is to say that it's hard to predict what a worst-case scenario looks like short of a complete regression of the last two seasons, which doesn't feel too realistic. Injuries could be factored into a worst-case scenario, especially as Rui only played 59 games last season, but that's a far too simple response to the prompt. This isn't to say there's not a bad version of Rui that's possible this season, but it is to say that there is a certain floor that feels relatively high for him. A worst-case season likely involves his three-point shot not falling anywhere close to the 41.8% rate it has the last two seasons. It also involves him taking steps back defensively and as a rebounder. The progression he showed last season doesn't carry over and he's not quite as impactful on the other end of the floor. What is his most likely role on the team? As noted above, my guess is that, while it may not be that way at the start of the season, Rui ends up coming off the bench to be the team's super sub. There will still be plenty of minutes, shots, and opportunities available, but it'll just be in a different role this year. When LeBron sits, which is hopefully a lot more this year to preserve him for the playoffs, Rui can step into the starting lineup. Otherwise, he could have a strong case for sixth man of the year this season. LeBron James explains why he's always prompt. Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James is a consummate professional on and off the floor, and that has helped him play this well so late into his career. James is well known for how much work he does to stay in top shape year-round, something players like Alex Caruso learned by just being around him. However, not only does LeBron do whatever it takes to take care of his body, but he is also notorious for being early to things. In a recent episode of his Mind the Game podcast with Steve Nash, James explained why he's never tardy to things. I think I was born into it for some odd reason. I've always had a feeling of I don't like being late to anything. It was always I feel like it's a disrespectful thing. My stomach starts to hurt a little bit, my anxiety starts to ramp up if I'm late or tardy. It happened when I was even in elementary school. If the bell rung before I was in my chair, I guess my whole day would be messed up. I didn't pick it up from my mom, I don't think so. I don't think I picked that up from my mom, I literally think I was just born that way. I've always been my anxiety, I can't function when I'm late, and it stuck with me throughout obviously now I'm 40 years old. But when I started playing organized sports, it was like the perfect match for me, because if you're not on time to practice you will have to run. I played Little League football. If you didn't run, you'd have to run sprints or you'd have to run gashers or 17s, and I know football people out there, they know exactly what those are, and that expletive is punishment. You do not want to be late to a football practice and have to run gashers or 17s or 100s. My mom didn't have a car when we were growing up, so if I was late because of someone picking me up late or whatever the case may be, and I couldn't control that. Even though I would still have anxiety about being late, some things I couldn't control. But to hear Grant say those words, it's just always been in me. I feel like especially when you start playing sports and you're around other people, and as you get older and older and older, and you go from little league to middle school ball to high school ball, and if it's either college or the professionals, wherever you are, I've always looked at it as a disrespect to the people that you're working with. You're late and you're disrespecting other people's time, and I never felt good about that. That's what other people do, but for me personally, being on time has always been late to me. So to be able to get to places early, I didn't know I was setting the tone for the rest of the group, whatever stage that was. But to be there on time, I felt like it was late and I wanted to be there extra early, talk to the coaches. This past summer when we was with the Olympic team, the coaches are always going to be there a little bit early. They talk about what they want to do tonight versus the opponents or practice. I get there early and just kind of watch the film, or talk to them and see what's going on, and then the guys start trickling in and coming in. But it's just always been me. Rui Hachimura must embrace overlooked skill to truly thrive with the Lakers. If Rui Hachimura wants to stick with the Los Angeles Lakers long-term and thrive, it will not be because of his jump shot. It will not be about isolation scoring or highlight dunks either. It will be about rebounding, especially on the defensive end of the floor, and doing the little things that this team needs. Rui Hachimura needs to hit the glass if he wants consistent minutes. With LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves leading the offense, there is no expectation for Hachimura to carry a heavy scoring load. The Lakers need complementary pieces. That means players who are sharp on defense, can rebound in small ball lineups, and take pressure off the stars. Right now, that is where Hachimura still has room to grow. As Jovan Buha put it on Buha's block, he has regressed as a defensive rebounder, and the interesting thing is he's actually played more big over the last couple seasons. In other words, Hachimura's job has shifted closer to the rim, but his numbers have not followed. At the start of his career while he was on the Washington Wizards, Hachimura averaged 4.5 and 4.6 defensive rebounds in his first 2 seasons. Since coming to Los Angeles, that number has dropped to around 3.7, a surprising dip, especially for someone often playing power forward or even small ball center. Buha also noted, sometimes the boxing out, the awareness, and just the chasing the ball can be better with Rui. It is not about becoming a dominant rebounder, just a more active one. To be fair, he has improved as an offensive rebounder. He is a touch above average in that area and brings value with his physicality. In small lineups, it is the defensive boards that prevent second chances, and that is where he has to lock in. Last season, Hachimura averaged 13.1 points and 5.0 rebounds on 50.9% shooting and an excellent 41.3% from beyond the arc. He is clearly efficient and productive, but those numbers will unfortunately not matter if his role shrinks. With DeAndre Ayton joining the mix, Jared Vanderbilt healthy again, and Jackson Hayes re-signed to a new deal, minutes in the front court will be competitive. With 1 year left on his $18 million deal, Hachimura's name is bound to come up in trade rumors. To stay in the Lakers' plans, he has to show impact in areas that do not depend on touches. Rebounding might not be the most exciting part of the job, but for Hachimura, it might have to be the most important.